to the complicated diplomatic dance by China over Russia's invasion of Ukraine. China's leader aligned with Putin well before the invasion, and for the most part, China has backed Russia's rhetoric while calling for a peaceful resolution. But how far will China go to stand with Russia as the conflict drags on? Here's ABC's Britt Clennett.
Since the Russian invasion of Ukraine began, Beijing has been walking a diplomatic tightrope. From refusing to call the invasion an invasion,
you are using a typical Western media questioning method of using the word invasion,
to advocating a peaceful resolution.
China supports and encourages all diplomatic efforts that are conducive to peacefully resolving the Ukraine crisis.
China's position on Ukraine has come into view, especially since just weeks prior to the war, Russian President Vladimir Putin was Chinese President Xi Jinping's guest of honor at the opening ceremony of the Beijing Winter Games. Just hours before, they stood side by side, vowing a friendship with no limits.
This really is a very, very difficult situation for China and for Xi, having just committed to this loving relationship, to then have Putin go ahead and invade an autonomous independent country.
Despite the middle ground rhetoric out of Beijing, from the beginning its state-controlled media echoed Russia's. Recent reports even dip into conspiracy territory, claiming with Russian-provided evidence that the US is developing biological weapons in Ukraine.
I would say in the world of today, media agencies should have their own freedom of choosing what to report and what not to report.
Victor Gao is a former diplomat and translator for late top Chinese leader Deng Xiaoping.
I don't think this is the time for other countries to urge the Ukrainian people to fight until their last person standing, because this is not the best way to save the Ukrainian people.
Is that why the voices in China online who call for the Ukrainians to put up more of a resistance and for the Ukrainians to continue to fight for freedom, is that why those voices in China are censored?
China has one of the most active, robust and dynamic social media platform in the whole world. People do talk about the situation from completely different angles.
On February 26th, after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky made this famous video, the Chinese hashtag Russia says Zelensky has fled Kiev suddenly went viral, garnering over 510 million views. Even differing domestic views are silenced when a Chinese government scholar wrote an academic piece warning that Beijing will lose wiggle room on its position on the war if it keeps playing both sides, writing, "China cannot be tied to Putin and needs to be cut off." Censors responded by wiping out all traces of it. But one Chinese voice is breaking the mold.
Sorry, I'm a little emotional this morning. That bastard woke me up with the air raid sirens.
Odessa-based software programmer Wang Jixuan started posting daily videos, initially to prove to his parents back home in China that he was safe. Who do you blame for the war?
Vladimir Putin. It's very clear answer. Without his order, my friend's apartment house will not be bombed. He destroying my life. He destroyed the street. On that street, have the tax which I paid from my pocket. But now the street, the building has been destroyed by his weapon. So I personally against him personally.
His voice attracting some detractors, leaving him threatening messages from thousands of miles away. How do you feel when you see the Chinese government not even calling it an invasion?
Confused. I also want to find out the answer. But maybe my Chinese, even if my native language, is not good enough to understand what they really mean.
As the war drags on and the casualties mount, the harder it is becoming for Beijing to maintain its balancing act. The US warns that it would closely monitor any moves to economically support Moscow and would absolutely impose sanctions if needed, but China denies reports that Russia asked it for military aid. There has been speculation that China may use the crisis in Ukraine to take Taiwan, which it considers a breakaway province, by force. Last week, CIA Director William Burns said China was unsettled by the strength of the Western response and the way Ukrainians have fiercely resisted.
Do you think that gives Beijing pause on their plans for Taiwan, the ultimate reunification?
I think it's got to, because for certain ways, it's not just the Western response. First of all, it's the Ukrainian response, right? Think how well, with some good missiles and some, and just the sense of patriotism that the Ukrainians are fighting back. Well, how much more, the Taiwanese are going to be in a similar situation. I would bet that after this settles down a little bit, or even sooner, the Congress is going to demand much more weaponry go to Taiwan to send a very clear message to China that if you think of following the Russian model, you're going to have a real big fight.
While that fight may or may not be around the corner, China-US relations, already frayed on a number of fronts, are likely to be tested even further as the crisis in Ukraine intensifies.
Our thanks to Britt Clennett for that.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.